Hi guys, this is Nigel reporting from the second day of DreamHack Masters Bucharest, joined here by Alesh, here in this cozy lounge. So man, I want to start the interview with the big news from a few days ago. You left eSuba together with Mirari. Why did you decide to part ways?
Well, we mainly decided to part ways because eSuba was a good starter team, but eSuba really cares about the national scene of Czech Republic, and we kind of really wanted to go to international tournaments more, and that wasn't really possible with eSuba because they didn't have a budget to send us every time and stuff like that. So we felt like we can't grow as much as we would like to, and we had some offers from international teams which I can't really talk about now, but we'll probably just join in the next week a new team, and that's the main reason behind it.
Are you joining together as a duo?
Oh yeah, we'll probably join together, same team.
Okay, so you said that eSuba is focused on the Czech scene. Do you think this actually hurts the team a bit? Because you said it's a good starting team, but people can grow there. Mm-hmm. Isn't this something that they should change in the future? Maybe if they want to be a competitive team that breeds good talent.
I mean, for eSuba it makes sense because all the sponsors are focused on the Czech scene. So, I mean, from the measures standpoint, he felt like we just need to do well in Czech scene. I mean, I think it's a little bit not as good management because now they had an opportunity to actually grow on an international scene as well. Like their League of Legends team, our eSuba League of Legends team was doing quite well as well in Gamescom and stuff. So. They had an opportunity, but they decided not to. So, there you go.
Okay, so tell me something about the Czech scene. It's not really televised. We know that some countries have really strong scenes. You guys has a lot of activity, and you know that the Swedish scene is active as well. The northern countries have really active scene. Germany as well have a really big player pool. But Czechs. There are a lot of players and a lot of teams, but they don't really go to many international tournaments, so we don't get to meet them. Mm-hmm. What's the Czech scene like?
I mean, the Czech scene is actually really big. We have about 10K people in a Hearthstone group of Czech Republic, which is pretty decent. And when we have really big Czech tournaments, we actually have 1,000 top viewers on Twitch, which is pretty good for just Czech scene, right? So Czech scene is really growing. We have some good teams like Arenas, eSuba. Both teams were in a Gentleman's Cup as well. We have some good talents. I mean, main problem with Czech scene is that Czech teams don't really sponsor trips to international tournaments.
It's all on you basically to go.
Exactly. For example, I paid most of my trips to international tournaments. So, I mean, if I wanted to grow myself internationally, I had to do it by myself. So that's a problem, and that's probably the reason also why you don't see as many Czech players, even though they are quite good. You don't see them at international tournaments.
Yeah, there are a lot of actually players that actually have to pay for their trips. So the question I guess is whether you even do it. It's a huge investment, especially if you travel long distance. You'll probably pay more than you win on average. Mm-hmm. So whether you even bother with attending tournaments and being a competitive Hearthstone player if it's if it leaches your money.
I mean, in my opinion, past month was really harsh for me because before that I had almost 70% win ratio out of 60 games, which was pretty good. And this month I wasn't really doing well. So the main reason I was going to those tournaments because I felt like I can win them. I had some bad deck choices, and by a game I didn't really play as well. So that was reason behind it as well. But I think it's something I want to do in the future, and if I'm not gonna give it everything, I'm not gonna grow as well. It's also hard because I'm studying and stuff, but I think if you want to do something so much, you have to invest all of it, and that's what I'm doing. And I feel like if you want to do it, you should do it as well.
So definitely want to stay in Hearthstone full time if it's possible?
Definitely.
What are you standing now?
Right now, I get some money from streaming as well because I'm streaming. I don't have a big stream, but I have about 200, 300 viewers every time, sometimes more when I get bombed from show hype. They get some money. I get some money from articles, writing articles for like tempostorm.com and stuff like that. So it's possible to do it. It's not much money. I spend most of my money on rent and stuff like that, but it's possible to do it. But it's hard. It's hard. But I mean, like, for example, when you heard from Artosis when he was trying to get into esports, like, he didn't have easy time as well. Like, I mean, you have to sacrifice something to get something.
Yeah, that's a good answer. But my question was, what are you studying?
When I'm studying? Oh, I missed that one. I'm studying law.
That's okay, man.
Oh wait, really?
What? Yeah, I asked what you're studying, but it's still a good answer, and we will get back to it. But again, like university, I guess.
Law.
Law. That's pretty serious.
Yeah. I don't really want to study. I don't really study. I mean, this is the first year because I graduated last year from my high school. So it's just the first year, and I'm not really sure if I want to do it, but we'll see.
You find it boring or what?
I kind of got to the school because my parents wanted me to go to the school, and I was smart enough to get there. So there you go.
Still like more money in law than in Hearthstone.
Probably, but it's more boring than Hearthstone.
You're right. So. Okay, let's talk a bit about the tournament. You're unfortunately out, to like big undertakers and whatever. Like you're very salty. Apparently turn 3 Guardian of Kings is not a bad creature to have.
Yeah, it's usually not bad, and I mean double Dark Cultist on turn 2 is pretty good too.
I would say like not bad. Like it's a good strategy to do. Yeah. Okay, so have you watched many of the other games? Like, because when we go to events, we don't we don't watch any games because we get the interview guys and take photos. So what's DreamHack Bucharest like in terms of meta and players and anything?
Okay, so DreamHack Bucharest in terms of meta changed quite a bit. The Hunter matchup got a lot different, for example, with Warlock, because we can see that most of the decks don't even play Hunter's Mark, and if they do, like, they play only one Hunter's Mark. They don't play tracking, so you don't really get to draw your resources as much as you could before. Like, when you needed the kill command, you would just track, right? But now you don't even play that. Some builds are still good against the handlock, but most of them not. So that matchup got kind of 50-50, and we can see that a lot of players are just winning handlocks against Hunter. Like, for example, right now, Life Coach in his interview after his match said that he would rather play handlock into Hunter than he would play trade into Hunter. Just, if you think about it, it's kind of funny, but it makes sense because you have like much more heals than any other deck would have. You have much more taunts than any other deck would have, and that's pretty much all you have to do. And if he doesn't have Hunter's Marks, and that, like, you do pretty well. But you have to play that match differently than you would play other matches. Like, you have to practice that a lot.
What about the Romanian players? They've been doing pretty well, and from the big names, quote unquote, the international comers here, only Skip has made it through so far at the time of this interview. We have like Faramir's out, you're out, and Logan is out. Daniel Steen, Airbrush. Daniel Steen, who finished second in the previous Bucharest, also lost. So, he's Romanian technically, but the Romanian scene is showing quite a presence here. What do you think? Like, can they actually upset?
I mean, the thing with this format is that you have 3 decks and it's best of 3. And no ban. Okay. So this format is a little bit random, even though it's like group stages and stuff. Like, you can lose once in a group stage, but it's still best of 3. So, and with Hearthstone as it is, even I think a little bit worse players can win against the better players, and like with this format. So it's maybe because of the format, and I'm not sure if they can do as strongly in a top 16 itself, like the main event.
Here's the format, basically.
Exactly, when it's gonna be best of 5, because I think in best of 5 it's gonna be harder for them. But other than that, like, actually seen like 3 Romanian guys who are really good. For example, there was like this one guy who just 8-0'd everybody with Druid.
Who's that?
I don't remember his name, but like he's like short, long hair.
It's not me.
No, it's not. He didn't have a beard.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he didn't have a beard. Like he was like 14 years old. But like that guy was, he had some pretty impressive plays. Like I've been watching him play. So there are some really good players here in Romania, and we might see another Ardiu coming up.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. Like Ardiu was, his story began at the previous, Dreamhack Bucharest got top 4. So maybe there's another talent. There are 8 invited players, obviously, and I was talking to people, and many of them found the invite pool a bit strange. I mean, it has good players, but there's also players that haven't been doing too well, or aren't that popular. Like, for example, Lothar hasn't been doing well, and although he's like a great guy and we're big friends, but obviously,
he's
like,
a really cool guy.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy, but his results, they don't speak like as an invited player. And we also have like Max, who only had like one offline appearance at DreamHack Stockholm. Like he played well, but missed BlizzCon by an inch. So what do you think, like, about the invited player pool in general? Like, is it representative of the strong, of Europe, or?
I mean, so the first thing you have to think about here is that at the same time there's a BlizzCon going through. So the top players are going to be playing on BlizzCon, so those people are not going to get invited. Then Hearthstone is in a stage where management does more than actually playing the best you can. So if you have a good manager, he can get you an invite, for example, to DreamHack Bucharest. So that helps a lot as well. I think that's pretty much it. Like Hearthstone is at a stage where you need a good manager to go somewhere, I think.
Would you say this is a problem actually of the scene in general, because like it's not about results, it's about how somebody sells you?
Yeah, a bit. But I think it's gonna fix itself eventually in like year and a half, if Hearthstone is still hopefully a thing. I hope it will. Yeah, it should be. So I think it's gonna fix itself. Like after, I think it was the same way with the StarCraft as well, right?
Yeah, in the beginning it was the same thing. Yeah.
So I think it's a problem only because it's a new game, and it's gonna fix itself pretty eventually.
Do you think, like you mentioned StarCraft, and these kind of games are usually brought as a contrast to Hearthstone? Like StarCraft, Dota, skill-based games, Hearthstone, luck involved. But we interviewed Lothar yesterday, and I brought this interesting thing to him. Like when Hearthstone came, people started comparing to Magic, obviously, for obvious reasons. And the best players there have about 60% win rate. No higher than that, maybe like 62 or 63, like Kai Buddha and Finkel, etc. So this was like an example of how the randomness, like even if you're good, you're still a victim to randomness. But in Hearthstone we actually have people with 70% and up. Like you said, you had 70 at one point. I think Colento is 72 and Ardiu is 70 something as well. Like there are a lot of players that actually have higher win rate than Magic, which is supposed to be a less RNG based game.
To this, I got to say, I have a friend, Stanislav Civka, who actually came here with me as well for the Hearthstone tournament, and he says that Magic is more RNG than Hearthstone.
We're gonna ask him for that.
Yeah, and the reason behind that is because in Magic you have lands, and you actually have to draw into your lands. If you don't draw, you have to mill again, you discard cards and stuff. So actually he thinks that actually Hearthstone is less RNG than Magic from this point. And also, I mean, yeah, Hearthstone is more luck-based compared to, for example, games like StarCraft or League of Legends. But that's the way you have to think about it, not as a game, but you have to think about it as a card game. And card game itself, like I've been playing card games since I was like 10 years old. You will not win every time, but I think Hearthstone is so balanced right now. Like for example, this meta, apart from Undertaker.
I think.
Yeah, apart from Undertaker, that Hearthstone is so balanced that if you know your matchups, if you know what to play around, your high rate can be so high, like Kalentos is, for example, because he studies the game so much. That's for example my reason why I think I did poorly this month, because I was so stuck in the last meta before the patch that I didn't because of the school and stuff, I didn't have time to actually prepare for this meta, and I still have about 60% win rate, but
It's still good, man.
it's still good, but it's could have been better. I think you have to study the game a lot, and if you study the game, you can make your win rate as big as you would be in like other games. Like obviously it's not gonna happen that like some Korean StarCraft pro is gonna lose to noob from Europe. That can happen in Hearthstone, but it's gonna be less likely than it would be if you study the game well. And like if you're gonna play against the noob, you're still gonna win 80% of matches.
You speak of matches and matchups, and you know, for the longest time, Hearthstone has been using these like multiple decks and multiple classes, and where you know change, and this is what this is why you need to learn all the possible matches. Do you think that Hearthstone should ever move away from this and try what Magic has been doing, like have one deck and play just that and maybe sideboard? Because I know like Brian Kilber, for example, like the Magic Pro and PVDDR have been strong advocates about, you know, okay, let's try this format and move away from the it's like big ban whatever Hearthstone is using. But you know, Hearthstone players themselves say that this actually adds depth to the game, and you know basically it filters away the good players. Like you know how to pick, you know how to ban, especially for example in House Cup. It's like another layer of, you know, okay, well, pick ban. It's very dynamic. So would you say this is like a Hearthstone strong side, and yeah, something that you can show that it's actually a very skilled game?
I think actually having more variety of the decks you have to play, it means you have to know how to play them. That's one thing it gets kill based. Also the bans and picks for tournament, you kind of have to know how the meta is so you can prepare your decks well. So if you just have like one deck, you have to have it good for everything. Okay, I get it, but then it doesn't really give variety. Like I played Yu-Gi-Oh for a long time, like and like, you know, like you have sideboards and stuff, but that like those card games, and also with Magic as well, like those card games are so different. Like you don't have as many variety of things that you can do. Like every class in Hearthstone has different play styles and different things that they can do. It wouldn't be possible, I think, actually to make a deck in Hearthstone to just beat all 9 classes. Yeah. So this like picking and banning pace, when you've been talking about the Via Game House Cup, that format was so awesome in my opinion. Like you have to prepare 9 decks, right? And you have to pick 5 and ban 4 in like different order, but you know, and you can make strategies which you wouldn't be able if you just played one deck. Like the strategy behind that is so much important. Like people don't even know about like some people don't even know how strategy of picking the decks and like preparing what you're gonna start with, and preparing like laying out in your head how the matchup is gonna go. And you know, that's also kind of one thing I didn't really like about this format, is that you didn't know what your opponent has for classes, which helps so much more for strategy. And if you don't know that, it gets so more random. So yeah, that's pretty much my point of view on that.
Okay, man. Thanks for the interview. This was Nitro with Alesh. Follow us at GosuGamers HS and follow him at Alesh_HS.
No, Alesh HS.
Oh, just HS? Okay, we'll ignore the cleaning ladies that are shouting. So yeah, this was us.
Yes.
Cleaning ladies. Yeah, follow us and stay tuned for more content.